Right, so welcome everybody to the third day of training. Yesterday we had seen about Firefox class, Chrome driver, iDriver and all. Right, so today I will be going into little depth and I will be talking about the concept of interfaces in Java language. Fine. For that, I'll create a new Java project called day 3. Go to the properties of the project, Java build path, and add the external jars. Right, I'll add the Selenium jar files. The latest version as of today being 2.28. Okay. Alright. Now, once I've added these all files, we can start working. Right. Now we'll study the concept of interfaces in Java and we'll see how it is applied in Selenium. Right. Suppose, what is an interface? The example which I always give to people is that it's like a menu. For example, you go to a restaurant. Fine. When you go to a restaurant, you see a menu over there, right? In the a la carte menu, you have got all the dishes listed, that whatever you can eat, you can order. You don't know how it is prepared, right? You don't even know when it is prepared. Okay. But only thing is, you know that this dish is present and this will be available to me at this cost. Right. So so that a la carte menu is like an interface in front of you. Looking at that, you come to know what the restaurant is offering. Right. What kind of food is the restaurant offering? Similarly, in Java, interfaces are like that. For example, I'll create a new interface. Okay. I create a new interface and name that interface as phone. I hope you are able to hear me clearly. If you are not able to hear me clearly, please let me know. Right? Now in the interface phone, we have the functions like this. Public, say void, call. Public, void, text. Right? Public, void, message box. Something like that. So these are the features of a phone. Okay, these are the general features of the phone. In the interface, you define the features. You never give the body to the methods. The methods will not have a body. You will just define what the phone is supposed to do. Looking at the interface, any layman can tell what this phone is, what a normal phone is supposed to do, or what an application is supposed to do. Right? Okay. But if I am creating a interface phone with no method bodies, what's the use for this? For example, I create a new class called as test phone. In this, I try to create the object of the phone interface. If I write over here phone p equals to new phone, Java will give you an error. If you move a mouse over the error, you'll get the message cannot instantiate the type phone. The problem is you cannot create the objects of interfaces. It is illegal to create object of interfaces because an interface is abstract. Okay, it is not complete. Fine. But suppose there is a class called as Nokia. Fine. Now Nokia is a phone. There is a relationship between Nokia and the phone class, phone interface. Right. Now Nokia wants to implement all the functions of the phone. Right. So we write it like this. Public class Nokia implements phone. Now if I am writing over here implements phone, then Nokia is supposed to implement all the functions of the phone interface. Right? Okay? Right? Nokia is bound to implement all the functions which are present in the, it is mandatory for Nokia. Right? It is mandatory for Nokia. Now, you move your mouse over the Nokia and select add unimplemented methods. You select this and it will implement all the functions which are present in the phone interface in the Nokia phone class. Right? For example, these are the three functions. Okay, it will give body to each and every function. For example, in this I can write Nokia calling. Out here you can write Nokia text. Nokia message. Right. What does this override symbol means? This means that this function is coming from the phone interface. Okay. You can also omit this override annotation. This is generally known as annotation. It doesn't matter. But if a layman looks at the code, he will understand that this function comes from the phone interface. Okay. If you delete one of the functions, you will get an error. A class is bound to implement all the functions in a interface. Right? Okay. Fine. Now, in the phone.java there were three functions and all the three functions have been implemented by Nokia. I can create the object of Nokia class and I can call these functions. Right? Similarly, I can create another class known as iPhone. Now, iPhone is also a phone. It will implement the phone interface. And iPhone will also have to implement all the three functions of the phone interface. You will have to write system.out.println iPhone calling iPhone text and iPhone message. So practically what we have done is this is my interface. Okay, two classes, they go and implement the interface. Right? So whatever functions were there in the interface are present in both the classes as well. right? Okay. Now what is the use of this thing? Can't I create a single iPhone class and a single Nokia class, and I simply create functions in them separately? Okay. The advantage is that this kind of implementation gives us a uniformity in the application. Just by looking at the phone interface, I can say that whosoever is implementing the phone interface will be implementing these three functions, and I can use those classes. I can create the object of Nokia class. I can call these three functions. I can create the object of iPhone class, and I can call these three functions. So I really don't have to worry which function to call in case I want to send a text through iPhone. I already know there's a function called text which comes from the phone interface. Just by looking at the interface, I'll come to know. If you are having any doubts, please let me know. I can repeat. Okay, right? So I hope I am audible and I am very clear. If I am not clear, please let me know. Okay. Now, um, in the test phone class, I can go and I can create the object of Nokia. And I can also create the object of iPhone. Right? Now I can call all the functions from Nokia as well. I can write n.call and I can also write i.call. The function would be the same, but it's present in different classes. Right? Implementation of the function would depend on the class. Maybe Nokia calls in some other way and iPhone calls in some other way. Right? But according to the structure, the name of the function would be called in every class. Tomorrow if a new phone comes up, suppose Samsung, then Samsung will also implement the phone interface and it will have the call function within it. Okay, right? Now how this is helpful in Selenium? If you go to, hold on, Google and just type download Selenium and alright. So out here in the documentation, okay, on the left side where I am scrolling, these all are classes and interfaces present. Whatever is written in italics, okay, whatever is written in italics is an interface. Okay, for example, out here mouse is an interface, and these two classes are the classes which implement the interface. So these two classes would be implementing these functions: click, context click, double click, mouse down, right? So all the mouse related operations would be implemented by these two classes, right? So mouse is an interface and these are the two classes which implement it. So this is how you read the documentation. Now everybody has heard about the word WebDriver. You heard about, right? WebDriver. Now what is WebDriver? technically WebDriver is an interface. If you look at the documentation, this is WebDriver written and this is an interface. These are all the implementing classes. Android driver, Android WebDriver, Chrome, event firing, Firefox, HTML unit, iDriver, iPhone, remote driver, Safari. So all these classes are the implementing classes to the WebDriver interface. So all these classes would have the same functions as there are in they are in the WebDriver interface. So you really don't have to worry if you have to click on a link in Firefox, or if you have to find an element in a Firefox. How will you do the same thing in Chrome? The function would be the same. Like we had the same call function in Nokia and iPhone. If you look at the WebDriver interface and if you scroll down, then these are the functions. Like we studied about the function, like there's a function called getTitle. This would be there in all the drivers and this would help you in getting the title of the page. Or we looked at the function get yesterday. What does it do? It loads a new web page. Okay. Or navigate. It will also navigate to some URL. I'll tell you what's the difference between navigate and get. Okay. With the help of navigate, you can simulate back and front button click of the key of the browser as well. But with the help of get, you cannot simulate, because the navigate function, it gives access to the browser history as well. Right. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. Okay. Now find element. This is a function if you want to find a link on a page or a button on a page to interact with that element. Okay. Now this function will be present. These all functions would be present in all the drivers. So you really don't have to worry. If you have to find an element in Firefox and if you have to find an element in Chrome, what would be the functions? The same functions would apply. Okay. The same set of functions would apply. Okay. Now going to the interfaces, right? Over here I have the interface phone, and Nokia and iPhone are the two classes which are implementing it, right? I can create functions. I can call functions of these classes separately. I can write n dot text, n dot message box, right? Similarly, I dot text, I dot message box. If you run this code, you will see all these messages coming up. For Nokia, Nokia calling Nokia text, Nokia message, iPhone calling iPhone text, iPhone message, right? I'm sorry. Now tomorrow, if iPhone decides that fine, these are the functions which I get from a phone interface, but I want to implement, or I want to have one more function. Okay, I want to have one more function, and that is, suppose, public void say, what can be the, say, book library. Now this is a function which is proprietary to iPhone. It is not present in Nokia. Book library is not present to Nokia. So this is only for iPhone. So you can have functions which are local to a particular class. Okay, so you can write over here iPhone book library, right? Okay, and if from my phone interface, from my test phone, I can write over here I dot book library. So this is a function which is kind of local to the class. It is its own separate property. It will not be present in Nokia, right? Now coming down to one of the questions which was asked yesterday, I'll just answer that in some time, right? Now if I write over here, I'm sorry, if I write phone P equals to new iPhone, okay? If you write phone P equals to new iPhone, what does it do? What am I doing over here? This line is little different. Till today we had been writing Nokia n equals to new Nokia, iPhone I equals to new iPhone. Now I am writing something like this. I am writing the name of the interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface. That's what I am doing, right? Phone is the interface and iPhone is the class which is representing the interface. What is the difference between writing this line and writing this line? This way you can call all the functions. You can call phone.call, right? Phone.text, phone.messagebox, but you cannot call phone.bookLibrary. You can call all the functions which are present in the iPhone interface, iPhone class, but are coming from the phone interface. This way, you can call all the functions in the iPhone class which have been implemented from the phone interface, but you cannot call the local functions of the iPhone class. Okay, what is the use of writing this then? I'll tell you in some time, right? But if you are having any confusion in this, please let me know. Hold on. Yeah, just a minute. I think somebody messaged me. No, right? If you have any confusion, please let me know. Or if you don't hear me, also let me know in that case. Right? Okay. So, uh, just a minute. Let me check my wireless. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So, what is the difference? What is the importance of this? Okay. Now, suppose in Selenium, coming to Selenium, let's see the importance of this. Why do we write interface name equals to new class which is implementing the interface? Although I just cannot use the functions which are present in that particular class which are not coming from the interface, right? What is the usage? Suppose I create a new class known as uh, Selenium example, right? And you write over here Firefox driver dr equals to new Firefox driver, right? And you also work with Chrome, right? You set the system property of Chrome and the way we did yesterday, right? Driver 2 equals to new Chrome driver, right? Now driver 1 is Firefox driver, driver 2 is Chrome driver. Fine. If I write over here driver 1 dot get to some URL http gmail.com and driver 2 dot get to some URL http yahoo.com. So this way you can force the browsers, the Firefox and the Chrome browsers to navigate to some URLs. The function names would remain same. Whatever functions I will get in driver 1 dot, you will get the same functions in driver 2 dot, because both are implementing the same interface. But now suppose, now this is quite weird thing. If I run this program, one Firefox will open, one Chrome will open. First Firefox will open, then Chrome will open. Firefox will navigate to Gmail, and then Chrome will navigate to Yahoo. Right. See, Firefox goes to Gmail and Chrome is going to Yahoo. Right. That's fine. Okay, that's not a big deal. But the thing is, suppose you have a system like this. You write over here string browser equals to say Mozilla. And I'm hard coding this, but later on we read it from an external source like an XML file or an XLS file, or you can say text file or a properties file. We'll talk about all this. In one of the files, like we store the browser on which I want to do my testing. Okay. Corresponding to this browser, the driver should be initialized. How do I do that? Okay. How do I do that? Right? Okay. Now out here, this concept comes up. Test phone. The concept of interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface. Right? Now in my Selenium basics, Selenium example, I can write over here WebDriver out here as well, out here as well. That is WebDriver driver 1 equals to new Firefox driver. WebDriver is the interface which is implement, and Firefox driver is the class which is implementing the interface. Similarly, WebDriver out here is the interface and Chrome driver is the class which is implementing the interface. And instead of writing all this like this, you can write a different logic. You can define WebDriver driver to be null initially. That means this reference is not pointing towards any object. Okay. Now you give an if statement that if the browser you want to test on is equal to Mozilla, right, then driver equals to new Firefox driver. Else if the browser you want to test on is equal to Chrome, then you set the system property and point the driver to Chrome driver. So dynamically I am initializing my driver object, or you can put an else for I as well. Okay, but dynamically the important thing is this driver is being initialized dynamically. Tomorrow if I change it to Chrome, then it will go inside this else statement and driver would be pointing towards the Chrome driver and Chrome will open up. I won't have to change the code. In my external data source, I just have to change the kind of browser I am testing. Right? If I run this now, the browser is Mozilla. Mozilla will open and all. And out here, you can call the functions. Suppose I want to go to gmail.com, then I can write over here driver.get. Protocol is very important, HTTP gmail.com. Now get is there with both Chrome as well as Firefox because both of them implement the WebDriver interface. So when I write driver.get over here, whatever be the driver, whether it is Firefox, whether it is Chrome, it will go to gmail.com. And I can keep on calling the functions to interact with the elements on Gmail. So if you run this, it will open Firefox, right, and it will go to Gmail. Now tomorrow if I change it to Chrome, right, and if I run this will open Chrome and take it to Gmail. So I don't have to change the code, I just have to change my browser type over here. That's it. Okay, right? I hope you are able to understand. Fine. Right. So now how to interact with the elements on a web page. Okay, question being asked is, can we give system.set properties in Firefox driver too? Sometimes you need to, very rarely. When Selenium is not able to find exe file, you can write webdriver.firefox.driver and give the path of exe, but generally you don't require it. Okay, generally in systems you don't require it. Okay, right? So fine. Any questions from anybody? Any question? Yeah, Mahid is asking a question. Hold on. Can you tell how to define abstract class? Well, abstract class is little different. Okay, I'll tell you. Hold on. Harish, what's the benefit of creating WebDriver interface? Can we do same thing by creating an object of WebDriver DR1? That's the thing, right? How will you dynamically switch between browsers then, Harish? If I write WebDriver DR1 and WebDriver DR2, I'm opening both the browsers, but I just want to open one browser. I just want to open one browser, right? Whether to work with DR1 or whether to work with DR2, how will I come to know? Right? So that's the thing. Okay, about abstract classes. Now abstract class, it is very different. Coming over to this phone interface. Suppose there is one more class called as say my phone. Okay, and my phone class, it also implements the phone interface, right? So it will have to implement all the functions, but I decide not to implement one of the functions, like this last function. I decide I will not implement it. I comment this. Okay, I'll get an error, right? That you are bound to implement all the functions of the phone interface if you are implementing it. But I don't want to. But I don't want to implement this. Okay, my phone has not got a feature of message box. Why should I implement this? Then you can make this class abstract. Abstract, the word itself means incomplete. Okay, the abstract word itself means incomplete, but I'll not be able to create the object of this class in that case. This is what an abstract class is. Got it, Mike? You don't work with them so much in Selenium. Only thing is sometimes in interviews people ask, right? Okay. Now, once I have gone to the website, Gmail, I want to interact with the elements on Gmail. Okay. I want to interact with the elements in Gmail. How do I do that? I'll do that. I'll talk about that. But one thing which somebody was asking me before the class in WebEx, that is what all I am going to cover in the course. I think there's a little confusion. Right now we'll be covering Java. I'm just telling you because 2-3 guys were asking me, right? I'll be covering WebDriver. Then we'll be seeing a framework like TestNg or JUnit or Cucumber, depending on the public demand, right? What people want. And then we'll be looking at how to develop framework, a keyword driven or a data driven framework, right? Then we'll be looking at Selenium Grid 2, how to work with Grid 2, and in the end I will also talk about Jenkins. Fine. This all I will be covering in the course, all these things, right? It will take nearly 20, more than 20 hours, 20 to 25 hours to cover all these things. Okay, so just giving you a brief overview. Okay, now um, right, what I'll do guys, I will actually